Does the thought of connecting spiritually scare you, or do you feel out of touch spiritually? Hi, I'm Carly Myers, a stress management expert, and this month we are talking spirituality and stress. And because we're talking about that, I brought on an amazing guest, Ilia Stranko. She is a personal growth and healing specialist and the founder of Spiritually Curious. She is an energetic-based practitioner, meaning her work is deeply rooted in our body's energetic system, also known as our chakras. I'm sure you guys have heard some of that before, right? Ilia works with individuals one-on-one, in person, and online as a mentor with her signature soul sessions, as well as through past life regression therapy. Her group coaching experiences, Spiritually Curious, are workshops offered in person and online. They are created to equip beginner soul seekers. This is really key. Beginner soul seekers with all of the spiritual tools and knowledge that they need to embrace their journey while learning how to connect deeply with their own inner wisdom. Ilia is a former social worker who has trained under Dr. Brian Weiss, the world's leading expert in past life regression therapy. She's also a Reiki master and so many other things that I know we're going to touch on today. She's a speaker, workshop leader, teacher, and a proud mama of twin boys. She is superwoman, and goodness gracious, studied under Brian Weiss. I'm just reading this for the probably fifth, sixth, seventh time now, and I'm still in awe that you've worked with him and you studied under him. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Brian Weiss is like a superhero to me, so I love him. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, you've done so much stuff in your career and you've been helping so many people get in touch spiritually and maybe repatch some relationships with spirituality that was damaged, all of that. How did you get here?
Well, to be honest, it was a really curvy road. Yeah, it was a really curvy road. It wasn't an easy journey. I went all over the place, I think. But ultimately, I think everything that I was learning along the way is what brought me here. So I always joke that, being a social worker was like my socially acceptable healer time period, and so that was like the period where I was helping people but I could like explain my title really easily and people knew what that meant. And now after studying, meditation and breath work and Reiki and so many other modalities, including going to massage school so I could like learn about the physical body. I don't do that in my private practice, but the knowledge that you get there is really valuable. So I've kind of combined everything, all of these little moments that were really to help me initially. Because I was stressed being a social worker. I was stressed being a healer. I was trying to figure out outlets for myself. And that's what really brought me to breath work. And that's what brought me to meditation. And that's what brought me to Reiki. And then the road just kept going from there. And so it's really been, at the beginning, it was all about self-discovery. And then I started sneaking that work in with my clients and I could not believe what was happening. And so slowly over time, it just evolved into this, into these soul sessions that I call them. And it's really like spiritual emotional care.
Just one of the most important things that we could possibly be doing for ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We all need it.
So I'm curious for the listeners at home that maybe we feel spiritually disconnected or we're unsure. Right now, as we're recording this, we're in a very kind of weird, I'm just gonna call it weird or interesting time. So if we're feeling weird, like disconnected spiritually or unsure spiritually, or we just want to grow spiritually, what do you recommend?
Yeah, I really think that at the core of this, it's about this deep inner wisdom and regaining trust in ourselves. And really it's about building that relationship. And honestly, at the beginning, I think the best thing to do is to take time to breathe. and even if that's just 5 breaths, you think that it sounds silly and it sounds like this small thing, but it's huge. It will change the course of your day, and it'll change the course of your connection with yourself. So I always tell people to start there, to start noticing their breath, because we're high breathers. We tend to breathe up into our throat. And when you can bring your breath down into your belly, or into your where your diaphragm is really expanding, that gives you the opportunity to open up that energetic pathway so that you can connect with your highest knowing, with your inner wisdom. And I think that's the first step.
Mm. So it sounds like it's like connect with your body so that you can connect with your soul.
Yes. Yeah, it's twofold, right? Because we have a physical body. We're here, we're earthbound, but we also have an energetic body. And the two, we haven't always had this language around an energetic body. Some cultures do. Ours really doesn't, but the two play together and they really impact each other. So when you can do something simple like breathing to bring the connection together, then that just slowly starts the process.
Mm. Mm. And I remember like we were talking before this that, one of the first things too is to know that like we're not alone in this whole process.
Yes. And that's really why I started Spiritually Curious, the workshops, is because so many people were coming to my office and they were hiding. And I was hiding too. Don't get me wrong. It took me a really long time to get the courage to be like, this is what I do, and not be hiding also. And so, yeah, you're not alone. There's so many people that are, exploring their spiritual journey in a different way, and there's so many of us that you can reach out to for support. And yeah, you're definitely not alone. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
It's almost like an empowerment of embodying and be like, yeah, this is me. This is my journey, perfect or not. Like,
Yes. Yeah. It's how we step into the truth of who we are, right? When we step into this part of our being, when we allow this part of us to shine and to be seen, it really gives us permission to move towards our purpose, to move towards our truth, to stand in who we are. It's amazing how this transforms into creating strength and creating that empowerment and creating all of that through that spiritual, emotional, physical care. And that intersection creates so much inner strength. It's amazing. It
it's
blows my mind. It really does.
crazy. So it's almost that we skipped a step because we were like, here's the result. Well, I guess we want to know the result before we take action. But we talked about this like spiritual stress. Can you tell me or tell us a little bit more about what that is and how it shows up?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think at its core, spiritual stresses, it comes out in this way of us ignoring our inner wisdom, of us ignoring that pull for something that we really want to work on or really want to work towards. And then when we ignore that that sense that's just letting you know this is the right way, and maybe that way is like a little scary or it doesn't feel comfortable, it's out of your comfort zone, and then you start to say, well, I'm not ready for that. But the way that your energy and your spirit respond is that for a little while it whispers, but then it gets louder and louder and louder, and it becomes physical symptoms, and it becomes emotional symptoms, it becomes anxiety, that tightening in your chest, that feeling like you're holding your breath. All of these like physical symptoms come as a result of this spiritual stress, which is really kind of ignoring this path, ignoring this calling when it comes up for you.
Mm. So I think the first thing that we can do, and we can take away from this episode in conclusion, is really first connecting to the breath so that we can connect to that our higher sense of knowing, so that we can start taking action and not stop ignoring that inner voice, so that
Yeah.
we can relieve that stress. So Ilya, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can we find you?
Yeah, and thank you for having me. And you can find me at iliastranko.com. You can also find me at spirituallycurious.com and on Instagram at spiritually.curious.
Perfect. So, for the listeners at home, we want to know, where are you at in your spiritual stress management journey? Are you in spiritual stress? Are you in connectedness? And where maybe you're somewhere in between. We're curious. So, definitely drop us a comment and let us know. We'd love to get the conversation started. So, this concludes this episode of the Stress Less Show. If you enjoyed this week's episode, let us know by giving us a big old thumbs up and hitting that follow or subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.